It was a bright, golden morning at Enchanted Castle. The kind where the sky looked like it had been brushed with powdered sugar clouds, and the garden smelled of blooming roses. Princess Sofia strolled to the royal garden with Clover hopping alongside, her soft blue gown swaying gently as she admired the rows of tulips and lavender. Gardening was one of her favorite quiet hobbies. It reminded her that even the smallest seed could grow into something extraordinary, much like herself when she first became a princess. As she passed the fountain, something glittered beneath the rose bushes. Sofia stopped and crouched down. "What's this?" she murmured, brushing away the petals. Lying on the soil was a tiny seed, round, shiny, and shimmering like a pearl kissed by sunlight. It wasn't like any seed she had seen before. When she picked it up, it glowed faintly in her palm and gave off a soft hum, almost like it was alive. Clover peered closer, twitching his nose. Sofia, seeds don't usually buzz. Are you sure this thing's not magic?" Sofia giggled, but kept her gaze fixed on the seed. "Well, even if it is, I think it needs a little love to grow." She looked around the garden and spotted an empty patch of soil near the lilac hedge. Kneeling down, she dug a small hole and gently placed a mysterious seed inside. "There," she whispered. "Grow strong and beautiful, little one." That evening, as the castle lights twinkled and crickets began their night songs, Sofia peeked out her window toward the garden. The spot where she planted the seed shimmered faintly, a soft green light pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the soil. "That's odd," she murmured. "I don't remember fairy lights being there." The next morning, Sofia nearly gasped when she returned to the garden. The little patch of soil had transformed overnight. A tall vine had sprouted, curling upward in elegant twists, and at its center hung a pod, large, glossy, and glowing softly like a gemstone. Dewdrops clung to its surface, sparkling like diamonds. Clover's eyes widened. "You sure you didn't plant a beanstalk by mistake? 'Cause I'm not climbing up that thing." Sofia smiled. "No, Clover. I think it's something else, something magical." She gently touched the pea pod, and it emitted a tiny trill, like a soft chime in the wind. Just then, Bailiwick approached with his usual clipboard and warm smile. "Ah, Princess Sofia, I see you've been busy in the garden again. But what is this peculiar plant?" "I don't know," Sofia replied, a hint of wonder in her voice. "I found a strange seed yesterday and planted it right here. And now this." Bailiwick leaned closer, eyes wide. "Remarkable, though perhaps we should let the royal gardener take a look before it grows into something unexpected." But before he could finish, the vine shimmered, sending a gentle wave of sparkles through the air. The flowers around it perked up, blooming wider as if greeting the new arrival. Even the air seemed fresher, filled with faint melody that no one could quite place. Sofia gasped softly. "Did you feel that? It's like the garden is happy." Clover gulped. "Yeah, happy or haunted." Later that day, Sofia visited the royal library to research magical plants. With the help of Cedric's old botany scrolls, borrowed carefully without his knowing, she found a faded page describing something called the royal pea of harmony, a mythical plant said to grow only when planted by a pure heart. It was believed to test the compassion of whoever cared for it, and if nurtured with patience and kindness, it would reveal its true magic. Sofia's eyes sparkled as she read the words aloud. A plant that grows with kindness. That sounds just perfect. She didn't know it yet, but this tiny seed would soon lead her into one of the most magical lessons of her life, one that would test not her royal manners or magic skills, but the strength of her heart. The enchanted royal pea pod had awakened. Seedling sparkles. The next morning, sunlight streamed to the castle windows as birds chirped merrily across the garden walls. Princess Sofia could hardly wait to check on her mysterious new plant. She hurried past the breakfast table, waving to her family. "Where's the rush, Sofia?" Amber called, stirring her tea gracefully. "There's something I need to check in the garden. I'll be right back." Sofia replied, her smile glowing as brightly as the morning. Clover hopped beside her, mumbling between yawns. "You're more excited about that pea plant than royal pancakes. I hope it's worth the trip." When they reached the garden, Sofia gasped. The vine had grown even taller, now twisting up to her shoulders. Dewdrops glittered along its curling tendrils, and at the very top, the shimmering pea pod pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. But what caught Sophia's attention most was a sound, a soft humming, almost like a lullaby being whispered by the leaves. Sophia knelt beside it. "It's singing," she whispered in awe. Clover's ears twitched. "Or maybe it's growling. You sure this isn't some weird plant monster?" Sophia giggled. "Don't be silly, Clover. It's just magical." She reached out and brushed her fingers against one of the leaves. The hum grew louder, and for a brief moment, she thought she heard words, faint, musical words floating on the wind. "Care and patience, help me grow." Sophia blinked. "Did you hear that?" Clover looked around nervously. "Hear what? 'Cause if it starts talking to me, I'm out of here." Sophia's heart filled with wonder. Could the plant really be speaking to her? It reminded her of the stories her mom used to tell, about enchanted gardens that bloom for those with kind hearts. Later that day at Royal Prep, Sophia couldn't stop thinking about her magical discovery. Even during Miss Flora's lesson on royal diplomacy, her mind wandered back to the garden. She doodled little vines and pea pods in the margins of her notebook. Princess Sofia? Miss Flora's gentle but firm voice snapped her out of her thoughts. "Are you perhaps dreaming about peas instead of peace treaties?" Sophia blushed. "Sorry, Miss Flora. I was just thinking about something I'm growing." Miss Flora chuckled. "Ah, good. Every princess should nurture something. Plants, animals, or even friendships all require patience and care." Those words lingered with Sophia all afternoon. When she returned home, she went straight to the garden. The vine looked even livelier, curling gently toward her as if greeting her return. "Hello again," she said softly, sitting down on the grass. "You really are growing fast." As she talked, the leaves seemed to shimmer. Sophia smiled wider. "I think you like when people talk to you, don't you?" She began humming a little tune, the same lullaby Queen Miranda used to sing to her at bedtime. As the melody floated through the air, the pea pod glowed brighter, and one of the vines slowly reached out, wrapping softly around her wrist, not tightly, but like a gentle hug. Clover's jaw dropped. "Okay, now that's new." Just then, a voice startled them. "Well, what do we have here?" Sophia turned to see Amber approaching in her golden gown, holding a parasol. "You've been spending an awful lot of time with your vegetable." "It's not just a vegetable, Amber," Sophia said earnestly. "It's enchanted. I think it's trying to tell me something." Amber arched an eyebrow. "Plants don't talk, Sophia. They just sit there and grow. Unless it's one of those magic experiments that Cedric sneaks into the kitchen again." Sophia frowned thoughtfully. "Maybe, but this one feels different. I can feel it." Amber sighed, shaking her head. "Well, just be careful. The last time something felt magical, Clover turned purple for a week." Clover huffed, still traumatized. That night, Sophia woke to a faint shimmer of light spilling through her window. She looked outside and saw the entire garden glowing softly. All the flowers, bushes, and trees seemed to bow slightly toward the vine, as if paying it respect. The enchanted pea pod pulsed brighter, almost like it was breathing. Then Sophia heard it again, the whispering voice. "Pure heart, gentle hands, your care awakens magic lands." Her heart fluttered. The plant was definitely alive, and it was calling out for something. Sophia leaned closer to the window, her eyes shining with wonder. "Don't worry," she whispered back. "I'll take care of you, whatever you are." The wind brushed through her hair, carrying a faint sparkle with it. And as she closed her eyes, Sophia didn't notice that one tiny pea from the pod had loosened, glowing softly as it rolled onto the garden path. The next morning, that pea would begin a whole new mystery of its own. Glowing star. The morning sun poured over the royal garden, turning every dewdrop into a gem of light. Sophia woke up early, excited to greet her magical plant again. But when she arrived, her heart skipped. One of the glowing peas from the enchanted pod was gone. "Oh no," she gasped. "Clover, look." The rabbit blinked sleepily, munching on a clover leaf. "You woke me up for missing peas?" "No," Sophia said, crouching beside the vine. "Not just any pea. It was glowing last night. It must have fallen off the pod." They began searching the grass, checking under leaves and along the stone path. Then Sofia noticed something strange, a faint, golden trail sparkling on the ground, like pixie dust. It led away from the plant, winding deeper into the castle gardens. "Looks like our runaway pea left breadcrumbs," Clover muttered. "Or pea crumbs." Sofia followed the glowing trail, curiosity bubbling inside her. The path twisted past a rose maze, through the butterfly grove, and ended at a small stone fountain she had never seen before. The fountain was covered in vines and moss, and at its center lay the missing pea, floating just above the water, glowing bright as a tiny star. As Sofia stepped closer, the fountain began to hum softly, the same melody she'd heard from a vine. The water shimmered, reflecting her face, and another, a faint image of a woman with ivy in her hair and emerald eyes. Who are you?" Sofia whispered. The watery image smiled warmly. "I am the guardian of the green young princess, protector of enchanted plants and nature's heart. You have found one of my royal peas of harmony." Clover's eyes widened. The what now?" The guardian chuckled gently. "Long ago, the royal peas were hidden across the kingdom to test the hearts of those who found them. Each pea grows only when nurtured with true care and kindness. Your heart called to it, Sofia." Sofia's eyes glowed with awe. "So the plant chose me?" "Yes," the guardian said, "but its magic is not yet complete. The peas will reveal their power only when their caretaker proves worthy through acts of compassion." Before Sofia could respond, the pea pulsed with light, and suddenly the entire fountain shimmered with images. She saw herself helping Amber, sharing with friends, comforting animals, moments from her life where kindness guided her actions. The images swirled faster until they dissolved into a single golden sparkle that flew back toward the garden. "Wait," Sofia called. "What am I supposed to do next?" The guardian's voice grew faint. "Care for it, listen to it, and protect it, for there are others who may seek its magic not for good." Then, with a soft ripple, the image faded and the fountain became still again. The pea was gone, returned to its pod. Clover scratched his ear. Okay, that was either the coolest or weirdest garden conversation ever. Sofia smiled softly. Maybe both. She looked back toward the castle, a thoughtful frown crossing her face. But if the guardian's right, someone might try to take the plant. Later that afternoon, Sofia went straight to the library to learn more. She searched through old scrolls until she found one that made her gasp. The enchanted pea of harmony, a source of natural balance, sought by many, protected by few. And in the margins of the scroll was a doodle that looked suspiciously like Cedric's handwriting. "Oh no," Sofia murmured. If Cedric ever found out about this, he might try to use it for his spells. Meanwhile, across the castle, Cedric himself was eavesdropping from behind a bookcase. "Use it for my spells?" he whispered to Wormwood, his raven. What a brilliant idea. Wormwood rolled his eyes. "Oh, here we go again." Cedric grinned slyly. "If that little princess has found a magical pea that can make anything grow, imagine what it could do for my magic. I must have it." Back in the garden, the vine swayed gently as if sensing trouble. Sofia reached out and placed her hand on the pod. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll keep you safe. I promised the guardian I'd take care of you, and I will." The plant shimmered warmly in response, wrapping one of its tendrils softly around her wrist. Sofia smiled, unaware that from the castle window above, a certain sorcerer was watching her every move with growing curiosity, and a not-so-innocent plan. The enchanted pea's true test was just beginning. Seedling sparkles. The next morning, a gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming lilies through Enchantia's royal garden. The enchanted vine looked healthier than ever. Its leaves glimmered softly in the sun, and the pea pod now sparkled with several small golden lights inside. Sofia smiled proudly. "You're growing beautifully," she said, brushing a leaf with care. "I think you're happy." Clover stretched lazily beside her. "Happy plant, happy princess. Works for me." But not everyone shared their peaceful morning. High in his tower, Cedric paced back and forth with Wormwood perched on his staff. "That little princess has something powerful, Wormwood. The royal pea of harmony. Why, with its magic, I could grow an entire forest of power. I'd be unstoppable. Or covered in vines. Wormwood muttered dryly. Cedric waved a hand. Nonsense. This time, I'll be careful. I just need to borrow it. He chuckled under his breath. Yes, borrow it for magical research. That afternoon, while Sofia attended royal prep, Cedric tiptoed into the castle garden, dressed in a green cloak that almost blended with the hedges. He snuck past the fountains, creeping closer to the glowing vine. Aha! He whispered, the royal pea in all its glory. As he reached out, the vine shimmered, its tendrils twitching slightly. Just a little snip, Cedric whispered, raising his wand. Venia add me. A spark of purple light shot out, but instead of capturing the pod, it made the entire plant quiver violently. The air filled with glowing pollen and a sharp, ringing hum, like an alarm. Before Cedric could react, a vine whipped around his leg, and another around his arm, lifting him into the air upside down. Ah! Let me down, you overgrown salad! Cedric shrieked. Just then, Sofia returned from class, humming to herself, only to stop mid-step. Cedric, what are you doing in my garden? Just hanging around, he yelped as another vine wrapped around his wand. I was merely inspecting your horticultural progress. Yes, purely educational. Sofia crossed her arms. Cedric, you were trying to take the enchanted pea, weren't you? The sorcerer's face turned as red as a rose. Of course not. Well, perhaps a little, but only for scientific study. Clover rolled his eyes. Yeah, sure, and I'm the Duke of Carrots. Sofia sighed. You can't just take things that don't belong to you. The Guardian of the Green trusted me to protect this plant. Its magic only grows through kindness, not greed. Cedric groaned, dangling helplessly. Well, then perhaps it's allergic to me. Now, could you please tell it to let go? Sofia knelt beside the plant, touching one of the glowing leaves gently. It's okay, she whispered softly. He won't hurt you. The vine hesitated for a moment, then slowly uncoiled, setting Cedric back down, though not very gently. He landed with a loud thud on the soft grass. Sofia offered him a hand. Cedric, maybe you could help instead of taking. The Guardian said the pea responds to care. Maybe we can learn from it together. Cedric blinked, surprised by her offer. You'd let me help? Of course, Sofia smiled. Everyone deserves a chance to do the right thing. For a moment, Cedric looked torn. His usual scheming expression softened, but just as quickly he forced a smirk. Yes, how noble. Perhaps I shall observe. Purely for research purposes. But as he left, Wormwood whispered from his shoulder. You're not actually giving up, are you? Cedric smirked. Oh no, Wormwood. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. That night, the garden was unusually quiet. Sofia stood by her window, watching the enchanted vine shimmer under the moonlight. You were very brave today, she said softly, but we'll need to be careful. I think someone still wants your magic. The vine's glow pulsed faintly, almost as if it understood. Sofia smiled, feeling the gentle warmth spread through the air. But deep in the shadows near the hedge, Cedric's eyes gleamed through the moonlight. If kindness makes it grow, he whispered, then perhaps a little trickery will make it mine. And with a flick of his wand, a faint spark of magic drifted toward the vine, invisible and quiet, setting the stage for a night of enchanted chaos. Herb sparkles. The next morning, Enchantia's royal garden was unusually quiet. The birds that usually fluttered near the fountains were gone, and the air felt heavy, as though the garden itself was holding its breath. When Sofia stepped outside, her cheerful expression faded. The enchanted vine looked sick. Its leaves drooped and had lost their shimmer. The soft golden glow of the pea pod was dim, and faint wisps of purple mist curled around its roots, a sign of dark magic. Oh no, Sofia whispered, rushing forward. What happened to you? Clover sniffed the air suspiciously. Smells like Cedric's magic. Kind of like burnt socks and old potions. Sofia gently touched a leaf, but flinched away like a frightened animal. It's scared, she said softly. Something must have hurt it last night. She knelt in the grass, closing her eyes and taking a slow breath. It's okay, she whispered. You're safe now. But the vine didn't respond. Its color continued to fade. Sofia felt her chest tighten. The guardian of the green had told her that the pea's magic was connected to kindness. If the plant was wilting, that meant it was losing hope. She thought hard about what could help it heal. Then she remembered Miss Flora's lesson about nurturing. Everything alive needs care, warmth, and love to grow. All right, Sofia said, standing up with determination. We're not giving up. Clover, we're going to help it feel loved again. Clover tilted his head. Loved? Like with carrots? Sofia smiled. Not exactly. With care. She started by fetching a small watering can and filling it with crystal-clear water from the royal fountain. She poured it gently over the vine, whispering as she did, You're strong. You can grow again. You're not alone. Then she gathered soft music crystals from her jewelry box. Tiny enchanted stones that played lullabies when touched. She placed them in the soil around the roots, and soon a sweet melody filled the garden, the same tune she had sung to it days ago. The vine trembled slightly, a faint shimmer returning to one of its leaves. That's it, Sofia whispered. You can do it. She spent hours in the garden that day, pruning away the wilted vines, brushing off the purple dust, and talking softly to the plant as if it were her friend. When the sun began to set, she brought out her mother's favorite tea kettle, filling the air with the comforting smell of jasmine. The calmness seemed to spread through the garden like sunlight through glass. By twilight, the vine's glow returned, faint but real. Clover's ears perked up. Hey, it's working. Sofia smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. I told you, it just needed a little love. But she wasn't finished yet. She clasped her amulet, closing her eyes. Please, if there's any magic in me that can help, let it flow through my heart. The amulet shimmered, and a gentle wave of pink light surrounded her. The energy passed into her hands and then into the vine, wrapping it in warmth. The purple mist vanished, replaced by soft golden sparkles that danced in the air. Suddenly, the pea pod gave a musical chime, and a small, glowing sprout emerged at its base. A new bud, glowing brighter than the rest. Sofia gasped in joy. You're healing. The guardian of the green's voice echoed faintly in the air, carried by the breeze. Your heart of care restores what darkness drains. Kindness is the strongest magic of all. Sofia's eyes filled with wonder. Thank you, she whispered. Meanwhile, Cedric watched from behind a bush, wide-eyed and slack-jawed. Impossible. My spell should have drained its energy, not restored it. Wormwood sighed. Maybe you should have tried being nice for once. Cedric groaned, clutching his hat. Nice doesn't make magic. Wormwood, I make magic. But as Sofia continued to hum softly to her plant, the golden glow grew even brighter, spreading to the nearby flowers and trees. It was as if the whole garden came alive again, singing with her. The next morning, the vine stood tall and strong, its pea pod gleaming like a lantern of pure gold. Sofia smiled proudly. See, Clover? It wasn't a spell that fixed it. It was care. Clover nodded. You really have a way with magical vegetables, kid. Sofia laughed. Maybe, but I think what it really needed was love, just like everyone else. What Sofia didn't know, however, was that the pea pod's magic was awakening something far greater. Its glow reached far beyond the castle walls, sending ripples of energy deep into the enchanted forest. And someone or something had felt it. Herb sparkles. The golden morning sunlight spilled over Enchantia, filling the royal garden with shimmering glow. The once wilted vine now sparkled proudly, its enchanted pea pod shining brighter than any jewel in the kingdom. Sofia stood before it with her hands clasped, her heart swelling with joy. But deep inside, she felt something curious. The glow wasn't just beautiful. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Every few seconds, the light flickered gently, as if the pea was alive. Clover hopped beside her, squinting at it. You think it's, watching us? Sofia tilted her head. Maybe not watching, but listening. Before she could say more, the air around the vine began to shimmer. The golden light from the pea expanded into a soft sphere, floating upward until it hovered in front of Sofia. Then, as if carried by magic, a gentle voice spoke. the same one Sofia had heard once before in her dreams. Sofia, guardian of kindness, your heart has awakened the seed of unity. Sofia gasped softly. The seed of unity? The glowing sphere pulsed brighter. Long ago, this enchanted pea was planted by the first royal gardener. It holds a spirit of harmony, magic that can bring peace between kingdoms, if protected by one pure heart. Clover's ears twitched. Well, we got the pure heart part covered. But, peace between kingdoms? That sounds like a lot for one pea. Sofia smiled faintly, but her thoughts were racing. So this plant, it's not just enchanted. It's ancient. The voice continued, softer now. But beware, such power draws both light and shadow. The magic of unity cannot exist without being tested. And then, the sphere faded away, leaving behind only a faint trail of golden dust. Sofia stood still, her fingers brushing the air where the light had been. Tested? What does that mean? Clover frowned. I don't like the sound of that. Last time something got tested, it involved a fire-breathing griffin. Before they could think further, a royal trumpet blared in the distance. Bailiwick's voice called from across the courtyard. Princess Sofia, you're needed in the great hall. Sofia exchanged a quick glance with Clover. Come on, maybe it's important. When she arrived, King Roland, Queen Miranda, and Cedric were gathered near a crystal map that projected a glowing image of the neighboring kingdom, Verdancia. Queen Miranda looked worried. Their crops are failing again, she said gently. They've asked if we can send part of our harvest. Cedric crossed his arms. And I suppose I will have to conjure a miracle out of my hat to make the food grow faster. King Roland ignored him and turned to Sofia. You've been spending a lot of time in the garden lately, dear. You might understand what's causing this better than any of us. Sofia hesitated. The enchanted pea, the seed of unity. Could this be connected? Father, she said carefully, maybe we can share the magic of our garden. There's something special growing there. Something that could help both kingdoms. Cedric's eyes widened. Special, you say? What kind of special? Sofia gave him a cautious look. It's an enchanted plant, but it's fragile. It needs care, not spells. Cedric forced a nervous laugh. Of course, yes. No spells at all. Ha! Perished the thought. But in his mind, gears were already turning. A plant that can unite kingdoms. Imagine what I could do with that kind of power. That night, as the castle fell quiet, Sofia returned to the garden. The moonlight bathed the enchanted pea pod in silver light. It pulsed again, almost as if it knew she was near. She whispered softly, if your magic can bring unity, then maybe you're the answer. Maybe you can help heal more than gardens. Maybe hearts, too. The vine swayed gently, glowing warmer. But hidden in the shadows near the wall, Cedric and Wormwood watched. There it is, Cedric whispered. The source of all that annoying goodness. Wormwood ruffled his feathers. You sure you want to mess with that thing again, boss? Last time, you ended up glowing pink for 2 days. Cedric smirked. This time will be different. I'll study it, harness its magic properly. And when I do, I'll finally prove I'm not just some court magician. He held up a small glass orb that shimmered faintly green. Tonight, we take a little sample. Back in the garden, Sofia hummed her lullaby again, unaware that dark eyes were watching her. The vine glowed brighter in response to her song, its light pure and warm, pushing the shadows away. But Cedric's orb pulsed faintly, drawing a wisp of golden magic into itself. Perfect, Cedric whispered with a grin. Soon, the enchanted pea's secret will be mine. And as he disappeared into the night, the vine trembled. A single leaf darkened, a sign that the test of unity had already begun. Herb sparkles. The morning dawned peacefully over Enchantia, but Sofia could feel that something was wrong. The enchanted vine in the royal garden no longer shimmered in its gentle golden light. Instead, it flickered weakly, as if its magic were fading. The air that once hummed softly with energy felt heavy, almost sad. Sofia knelt beside the plant, her fingers brushing its leaves. What happened to you? She whispered. The once vibrant green now held dull streaks of gray. Even the pea pod, the heart of its magic, had lost some of its glow. Clover hopped up beside her. It wasn't like this last night, was it? Sofia shook her head. No, something's drained its magic. I can feel it. A faint breeze rustled through the garden, carrying whispers, tiny fragments of the voice she had heard before. The balance has been disturbed. The test begins. Her heart quickened. The test, she murmured. That's what the spirit meant. Someone took from it. Meanwhile, in the dim light of his tower, Cedric held the glowing orb in his trembling hands. Inside, a small swirl of golden light flickered and twisted, the stolen essence of the enchanted pea. Wormwood sat on the windowsill, feathers ruffled. It doesn't look too happy in there, boss. Cedric frowned. It's magic, Wormwood. It doesn't feel happiness. But even as he spoke, the light inside the orb pulsed weakly, once, twice, then dimmed. Cedric leaned closer. Oh, no. Don't fade. You're supposed to make magic stronger, not weaker. A low hum filled the room. The orb glowed white-hot, then burst in a flash of light, knocking Cedric backward into a pile of scrolls. When he looked up, a thin wisp of gold drifted out the window, heading straight toward the royal garden. Down below, Sofia saw it streak through the sky like a shooting star, returning to the wilted vine. The moment it touched the pea pod, the plant shivered, then let out a soft sigh, as though relieved to be whole again. But the damage was not undone. The pea's light flickered once more and dimmed again, weaker than before. Sofia realized then that it wasn't just magic that could heal the plant. It needed harmony, unity, the very thing it represented. She turned to Clover, determination shining in her eyes. We need to bring everyone together, not just the garden, but the whole kingdom. That's the only way to restore its magic. Moments later, she was in the great hall, addressing her family, friends, and even Cedric, who stood nervously at the back, soot smudged across his robe. Everyone, Sofia began, the magic in our garden is fading because it was taken and misused. But the enchanted pea wasn't meant for one person. It was meant for all of us, to remind us that true power comes from unity, not control. King Roland nodded, his expression proud yet concerned. Then let us restore that unity together, Sofia. Tell us what we must do. Sofia smiled softly. We'll share what we have, our kindness, our hope, and our voices. She led them all outside into the garden, where the dull plant stood at the center. Hand in hand, the royal family, the castle staff, and even Cedric formed a circle around it. The air filled with quiet murmurs, wishes of love, apologies, and gratitude. Cedric looked ashamed. I may have borrowed a little magic, he muttered, glancing at Sofia. But I didn't mean for it to hurt anyone. Sofia smiled gently. Then help us fix it. For the first time, Cedric placed his wand down and held Sofia's hand. Together, they closed their eyes. A faint golden glow rose from the ground, spreading through each person in the circle. The air shimmered. The pea pod pulsed brighter and brighter until it burst into radiant light that illuminated all of Enchantia. The magic expanded outward, across meadows, forests, and even into the neighboring kingdom of Verdantia. Their crops began to bloom again, their rivers sparkled, and laughter returned to the air. The two kingdoms, once distant, were united in light. When the glow faded, the vine had transformed. Its once simple leaves now bore delicate golden patterns, and at its center bloomed a single flower, bright as the sun. Sofia knelt beside it, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. You did it, she whispered to the plant. You brought us all together. The familiar voice returned, warm and full of pride. You, dear princess, have completed the lesson. The magic of unity lies not in spells or power, but in hearts that beat as one. The garden sparkled one last time, and the voice faded with the morning wind. Clover hopped up to her shoulder, smiling. Well, looks like you passed another magical test, kiddo. Sofia giggled softly. I didn't do it alone. None of us did. As the royal family celebrated together, Cedric stood quietly at the edge of the garden, gazing at the glowing vine. For once, he felt no envy, only admiration, and as the day faded into sunset, Sofia looked toward the golden flower that now stood proudly in the royal garden. Its petals shimmered softly, reflecting the light of unity that now filled her kingdom and her heart. Sparkle's moral: true magic doesn't come from spells or power, but from harmony, kindness, and the courage to grow together. Herb Sparkling Heart.